Welcome to the No Labels, No Walls Festival 2021. My name is Markus Vähälä and we are celebrating the second day of the No Labels, No Walls Festival with shared action coming from around the world. So next we are creating We Are One Scotland Festival. We welcome you to create the Citizen Fest for all. As part of the Citizen Network of Citizen Festivals, No Labels, No Walls is linking the festival 2021 to We Are One Festival in Scotland. Come on and create a unique festival where you can create with others, continue the actions created in the No Labels, No Walls Festival 2021 with new audiences and new friends. How will your contribution look like? The event is hosted by Keith Etherington, Michael McEwen and John Dalrymple from We Are One Festival from Scotland. We will hear the story so far. We can discuss about the content and connect people and action creatively. We will discuss what is going on to happen at the We Are One Festival. We can exchange festival experiences and create the best festival ever. So let's connect with John, Keith, Evan, and everybody at the No Labels, No Walls Festival. You're all welcome.
So you should be able to.
Here it goes.
Yeah, you're very welcome in any case.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Welcome everybody.
You know, it's nice to practice my English because in English I only read and write and sing maybe.
And we are online at the No Labels, No Walls Festival 2021. And the chatting is already on.
Yes.
And that's great. Welcome everybody. My name is Markus Vähälä and I'm the host today when we are staying up late together with our friends from Scotland. So it's very nice to be with you here to create We Are One Festival to 2022 probably. And we are here together with John Dalrymple, Michael McEwen and Keith Etherington and our lovely No Labels, No Walls team from all over the world. Would you like to introduce yourselves, John, Michael and Keith, and then we could also introduce ourselves, the team that is here.
Yep. Okay. I'll go first. I'm John Dalrymple. I'm a social worker. I work for an organization called Radical Visions, and we work promoting self-directed support and deinstitutionalization, to use a long word. And I was around from the beginnings of the We Are One Festival. And I think Keith will go next, probably.
Okay, thank you, John. My name is Keith Etherington, and I am working for In Control Scotland and been doing that for a long time, and I am a new grandparent, so I'm just changing the way that I'm working at the moment. And In Control Scotland works with people and organisations and public and voluntary sector organisations to help people get the right support, so they can live the lives that they want. And we are also one of the founding partners of the We Are One Festival in Scotland and part of the organising group and committee for Stay Up Late Scotland as well.
Thanks, Keith. So my name's Michael McEwen. I'm a disability campaigner. I'm also a freelance journalist as well. I've been working with the We Are One Festival since like the very beginning, and I'm also the chairperson of Stay Up Late Scotland.
Thank you. Good.
That's us, Marcus. So you will get the other folk to introduce themselves. Soaliki from Kukunori.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm a new person at Kukunori. I have started to work with Markus Vähälä in May. I working as an impact specialist, and I'm very happy to be here and learn what is going on in this action. So very nice to be here, and welcome to Finland.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. And Cindy.
I am Cindy from Espoo, Finland, and I'm here to be entertained and educated. I'm the audience.
Ah,
That's a tough call. No. And Vera?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi there.
I'm here, and I'm housewife from Finland, but also I'm writing music, and it starts some, consequences what I'm here.
Right. Can see we can see your guitar behind you. So
It's my guitar.
It's not my guitar. My guitar is here. It's my this is one from my husband.
oh, I see. Okay.
It's not belong to me, no. This is my guitar. I'm washing.
that's your musical instrument.
Oh dear.
Something like that.
The entertainment has been done. Thank you very much. Nice.
Yes. Nice to meet you too.
Nicola.
Hello, I'm Nicola Proto-Papadakis, and I'm part of Citizen Network, and I also work at the Centre for Welfare Reform, and that's it.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Has everyone introduced themselves, do you think? I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll crack on. We're going to tell you, first of all, just tell you a bit of the story of We Are One, how it came about, what was involved in developing it. We'll then have a short interview with Michael, who's going to tell us a bit about his work as a journalist and a disability campaigner. And then we want to get engaged with yourselves in thinking about how we broaden our horizons and work together more effectively. So we'll share the screen. Said that confidently, too confidently. Where was it going? What was there previously? That was this thing. Post attendee. Right. I'm gonna double check where that presentation has gone. And
Take your time, John. I will start the story how this links to No Labels, No Walls.
yes.
Many of us have been active in the Citizen Network community for a long time. And I was invited to Glasgow a couple of years ago, where John, Michael, and Keith were active together with Nicola to create a festival. And you also created this idea that let's celebrate citizenship and make it a citizen fest. And I was producing No Labels, No Walls festival, and I thought that it's a great idea. Let's share this kind of shared concept of Citizen Fest, how to celebrate citizenship without labels and walls. And Cindy was there to create this wonderful festival that we had in Helsinki with over 50 events. And gradually, all of us, we got this idea that perhaps this Citizen Fest could be a way to link people together using festivals. And we are on our way to connect Festival of Debate that happened in Sheffield and internationally in May, Toronto Summer Institute in July, and now we are celebrating No Labels, No Walls with content and people and shared action. And yesterday we had the building the bigger we connecting the theme coming from Toronto Summer Institute in July, and we were learning revolutionary listening. Today we are enjoying Festival of Debates, UBI Labs, building Universal Basic Income Laboratory in your local area, how to do it. And that theme is in every Citizen Fest this year. So continuing this idea, let's move into the future and invite more festivals to join the Citizen Fest family and enjoy the wonderful people and groups around the world and create links to Scotland, for example. So we have tons of ideas, we have tons of nice content, and we can meet and discuss about what it is and to create festivals that suit to your local community with this global angle. So John, please tell a little bit how to create We Are One Scotland.
Yeah, so we've been creating, I think it's an ongoing process. We've been creating the We Are One Scotland Festival since, it's just 2019. It seems a lot longer ago in some ways, but it's only a couple of years. We've had different names for the festival, and for a long time we had We Are One as well as Citizen Fest. But Citizen Fest has become the more general term now, as Marcus says, for these events. And we are firmly now We Are One Scotland with an exclamation mark, just to promote a sense of excitement. So that's us. Well, language is tricky in this area, and we're conscious of the theme of the bigger we, and we've behind this presentation, we were thinking about that idea, because in creating We Are One, we have been creating a bigger collective of people. Keith, were you going to come in there?
I was just going to say the difference between We Are One and Citizen Fest, really, John.
Yeah.
That We Are One has evolved into a group of people, and I know you'll talk more about that later, who are able to deliver a number of things at different points throughout the year. And one of those will be the Citizen Fest, but who are able to respond to other things that happen, for example, in Scotland. And we might want to say something about things that happen in Scotland, or we might want to just deliver one-off taster events at different times of the year, so that We Are One's evolved into something which delivers the Citizen Fest. Yeah, rather than... Okay, just really explaining those.
Yeah, well, that's grand.
Really.
So just bearing in mind that sort of different names and different complications we get into with language, and thinking about...
And it very much fits with the idea of a bigger we, doesn't it? Because We Are One is about creating that bigger we, which is what you're moving on to, isn't it, John?
So New York's big, but bigger's bigger is the theme. And I happen to live in a place called Bigger. So the bigger we has different connotations for some of us than for others. But size and connectivity is clearly behind a lot of it. And another language...
I was saying that the gasworks gets lots of visitors, I think, John.
Yes, I think it does. Yeah. It does. It's a very ancient gasworks.
Oh, okay.
And puppet theatre's out of commission because of COVID, however. So.
All right, okay. We'll have to do something about that, I think, John.
We will. So, but moving on, we also have a problem in Scotland with the word we, the bigger we, because we use we a lot to mean small. There was a wee lassie who swallowed a midgie, or big man talking to wee man, or we have a phrase in the name of the wee man, which means, oh my goodness, oh dear, or something along those lines. Keith, you've become acclimatized to Scottish language over the years.
I have. wee bit.
A wee bit. And then there's obviously another connotation, the bigger we, which we don't want to dwell on, but for some of us at the time of life that we're at, Keith and myself, this can become a bit of a preoccupation at times. And will we make it to the nearest toilet quickly enough? However, that's just a light introduction of some kind to the festival and how it came about. So if we go back to 2019, we were connected to Citizen Network, and Citizen Network in turn was connected to a number of people who were coming to Glasgow for something called the IACID World Congress, the World Congress of the International Association for the Scientific Study of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. So that's a bit of a mouthful, and it reflects a certain way of approaching an understanding of disability in the world. And out of this came the idea that if all these people were coming to Glasgow for this big international congress, some of them are linked to Citizen Network, why don't we try and put on something at the end of the week that was a bit more relaxed, a bit more celebratory, a bit more human rights based, and a bit more human, humane. And so in the year or so leading up to it, there was lots of different ideas about how we might do that, but that was the original kernel of the idea that we should do something. We should have a festival in Glasgow in August of 2019.
And we always thought that could almost be a bit like the fringe to the IACID conference as well, didn't we, at that point, John?
That's
the
right.
idea that it would add to, but be different, and as you say, essentially be more humane, be about, yeah.
So, like the fringe to the main festival that you get at the Edinburgh Festival. And
yeah, although, and obviously Edinburgh Fringes are now much bigger than the original festival.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. They're the things that have taken over and that have enlightened people, and the things that people have become interested in. Yeah.
So Simon Duffy and Nicola from Citizen Network were keen that we tried to do this, and those of us who were involved in the original discussions came from these organizations here. So I'm part of Radical Visions in the bottom right-hand corner. And as I say, we provide consultancy services around self-directed support to individuals and families and organizations who are trying to do better with self-directed support, or indeed in getting people out of long-stay institutions. Keith and Michael, do you want to say a bit about Stay Up Late?
Michael, do you want to do that?
Yeah, so I'm the chairperson of Stay Up Late Scotland, and we've been going for a few years, but this campaign has been running down south for maybe about 9 or 10 years, or even more. The campaign is really about for people to have the choice and control when they want to go out and when they want to come back, and it's not really up to a support worker to tell people when to come back home and stuff. And we found that people with learning disabilities has get taken away from venues very early in the evening. So I went, so that's how Stay Up Late Scotland was kind of born out of that, and myself and Keith's involved in it, and also we've got a few other organisations as well. I don't know if you want to add to that so far, Keith, or?
Well, just the idea that Stay Up Late Scotland is a movement, And it isn't just about staying up late. It's about people having good social lives, isn't it? People getting out and about and having the opportunities to access all the sorts of things that everybody would like to access in terms of getting out and about and doing things that you like, and getting the right support to do that at the right times. And when there was the discussion about Citizen Fest, we'd already been doing various events, haven't we, Michael?
Yeah.
In order to provide some of those opportunities, and we thought it was a great opportunity to get involved in something new. That would be another way to do that, to promote both the campaign of Stay Up Late and the opportunity to provide some good fun and good entertainment.
Yep. And yeah, so I mean, it's been going okay so far. We've had a lot of good feedback over the Zoom gigs that we've had, because obviously people are at home, so they can't go home, and they haven't got support workers. But what we found was, when we've had gigs over Zoom, people were still on Zoom at 1:30 in the morning. But compared to if we were having a night out in Glasgow, people was getting taken away against their will at 8:30 at night. So like that's a kind of difference. So still, it's been involved in the very beginning with the We Are One Festival.
Thanks for that, Michael. And Keith in Control was one of the 4 original partners as well.
Yeah, that was just part of the discussions, really, wasn't it, John? That I mean, obviously you're involved as part of our management group as a trustee of In Control Scotland, and it was just really part of the discussions about putting something on, because it very much fits with the ethos of people having a good life, which is what In Control Scotland's all about. People having a good life and getting the right support to be able to get that good life. So that's how In Control Scotland was involved, and then we're also obviously involved directly in the Stay Up Late campaign as well. And so the only one we haven't spoken about is Values into Action Scotland there.
Yes, and I'm on the board of Values into Action Scotland. That's an organisation which campaigns for people with learning disability. It's been around for a long time. These days, particularly, it promotes routes into employment for people with learning disability. So these were the 4 founders, and in terms of today's theme about getting bigger, this is quite a narrow group of people. We all kind of know each other. I'm involved in at least 3 of the things that are up there. Keith's involved in 2. Michael and Keith are involved in. Michael's involved in 2. So it's a small circle of people who know each other and can quite easily come together and say, right, here's an opportunity. How are we going to tackle it? But we're all coming from a kind of social care, social justice, and very, in many instances, from a kind of learning disability background. So it's a narrow kind of starting point for the work. And hopefully you'll see as this goes on that has developed over time. So if we go to the next slide, then the next 3 organizations that we drew into our circle for trying to organize the event are represented here. The one at the top is Unity Enterprise, an organization that runs a variety of social enterprises for people who are on the margins of things in Glasgow. They run cafes, they run employment projects, etc. Again, we knew, or some of us knew, the chief executive there, Emma. But Emma had been working with the 2 organizations below, Leap Sports, which is an organization that promotes the involvement of LGBTI people in sport in Scotland. And again, some of us knew the guy who headed that up, a chap called Hugh. So there was still a level of familiarity there, but we were kind of expanding our horizons somewhat beyond our normal day-to-day work in in establishing a kind of core planning group. We used to meet in the offices of Unity down below the cafe in the centre of Glasgow. That's where our regular meetings began to take place when we were planning for the festival. And then Public Eye. Keith, do you want to talk about Public Eye and Clive a wee bit?
Yeah, so we were introduced to Public Eye through Unity. So it was a link through Unity, and Public Eye are an events organising company headed up by a guy called Clive, who we got to know, and Clive was really interested in what we were talking about doing, but what he brought was a background in events, a background in music, a background in organising different festivals. So he brought a very different set of skills and a background, but was very keen on the ethos of what we were wanting to do, this idea of a citizen fest, a festival where the top line is a world where everyone matters. So yeah.
So
I don't know whether we want to say anything about just over the years, over the 2 years that we've run it. One of the very interesting things that Clive often reflects on is just about how engaged musicians he's brought along to the festival of being with the whole ethos of what we've been trying to do, and just about it that it's been a very different experience for them. I think coming to a festival where there's that explicit aim of involving, engaging, and recognizing the skills and talents of everybody who's involved. Yeah,
that's right. No, they very much identified with the importance of citizenship, particularly in the current times that we're living in. And yeah, that's been great. And Clive's also brought other links in at other times. For maybe Michael speak a bit about that later. So when we got to the festival in 2019, that was our kind of partners in the whole citizen network, obviously, In Control Scotland, Radical Visions, Unity, Leap Sports, Values into Action, Public Eye, and Stay Up Late. And this was the days before COVID. This was no thought to doing anything online, or no aspect of this would we have considered doing online. This was a physical event in Glasgow city centre with a very ambitious programme, with far too many events scattered across the city centre on one day. I think it was. Well, we started on the Friday night with Stay Up Late, but everything else was concentrated on the Saturday, and that was us.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see there that we've also never quite settled on the proper logo or image for our festival. So that's one of the logos we've used, but you can see that we're still calling ourselves both We Are One and Citizen Fest there, way back at the beginning. However, there's another group of people without whom it wouldn't have happened, and they're represented on this slide. These are people who either gave us money by way of kind of being our sponsors, or gave us money and contributed to the programme on the day. So Alzheimer's Scotland, Scotland's main organisation for people with dementia, they gave us some money, but they also put on a workshop at the festival. Enable Scotland gave us the biggest amount of money, I think, and also contributed to the programme. Sea Change gave us money. Key Housing gave us some money. Partners for Inclusion took part on the day, but also gave us some money. And the three wee figures there represent an organisation called the Alliance for Social Care, who also sponsored us, as did the Wheatley Group, which is a kind of strange kind of combination of different kinds of organisation in Glasgow, and Neighbourhood Networks, which is a peer support organisation. So the event wouldn't really have gone ahead without this kind of underpinning of the people who were prepared to give us mainly small amounts of money, but just enough money to oil the wheels and mean that we could pay some of the participants and also pay for some of the materials that we needed. Keith, anything to add there, would you say?
Not really, no, just that idea that, yeah, often those organizations were involved in different ways, both providing money and contributing to the festival, whether it was a film, because we had some films from some of them, or whether it was a workshop, or whether it was a discussion bit, and other resources that they brought, like they brought some of them, Enable Group brought some capacity to try and develop a bit more of a social media presence around it as well, didn't they? So about doing some of the postings and so forth. So yeah, we were really just feeling around and trying to get the best way that we could make the most of the time and resources that we had. And I know that, I mean, certainly on the days of both the launch on the Friday night, which is when we did the Stay Up Late event, and then the full day on the Saturday, I mean, the festival was being revised minute by minute, wasn't it? And adjusted, and we needed to stay flexible and be able to make changes and work things out, just depending on what was happening. Yeah. So
this is one of the groups who participated on the day. So that's Every Voice Community Choir. So it's a choir made up of people with dementia from I think it was the Guruk area, further up the River Clyde near Glasgow. So there are people with dementia, people who don't have dementia, that they come together, and they were very impressive, and they kicked off the day for us at the very first festival. So,
yeah, I was just going to say, Michael, that first festival, you spent some time in a pub, didn't you? Like one of the venues that was being used there, where on the Saturday afternoon, some of the bands that had been on the Friday night used. That was really interesting, wasn't it, Michael?
Yeah, yeah. So we had a kind of stay up late mini gig, if you want to call it, in the afternoon, and that was quite good because the other gigs started at 12 and it went up to 4. But what you found was more people were coming into the venue that didn't really know about We Are One or the Citizens or the Skate Late, what Skate Late is about, because after when we finished the Skate Late gig at 4 o'clock, there was a band on, and this band has always played in the same pub for like years and years and years. So they had a good kind of like it was good, sort of good atmosphere as well, and all that. So it was good to see that people was kind of like mixing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have a so yeah, that was us trying to take the festival out into the city as well as just expecting people to come to where we set it up. So people would get into that particular pub for a Saturday afternoon. They encountered the festival not expecting to. That's something we would like to get back to once we get beyond COVID. I have a funny feeling that underneath that photograph there are some other photographs from the day. I think we've managed to obscure them. I notice one half of Fionathan is in the room with us, and I think you see the bottom left corner. There's a a couple of tuxedos. I think that's you two down there. So sorry that those photographs have got obscured a bit. Round about that time, we started to become aware of Kukunori, Propellipat, and the Strindberg Laboratory. And really, we only became aware of that because Marcus came to the festival. And while he was at the festival, he said, and took part in various ways, he said, very quietly, Marcus said, when I go back to Finland next month, we are having the No Labels, No Walls Festival. And so round about the same time that our festival took place, we became aware that there was a similar festival going to take place in Finland, stroke Los Angeles, in the very near future. So Marcus can maybe say a wee bit about that. So the two things coincided, the birth of We Are One and the birth of No Labels, No Walls. And so from just being that wee group of people who met and who all knew each other and were quite comfortable in their own wee world, by the time we get to this stage, we're connected to a whole lot of different people, not just social care people and not just people from Scotland. And that's a sense of how the thing was beginning to develop. So there we are, there's the world as it should be, with Scotland at the centre, and Finland and California off to the sides. That's the world that was beginning to develop around Citizen Network and Citizen Fest. And then what's happened since, and we're still, I guess, in this idea of the bigger we, then I'll come back to that one in a minute. We now have at least these countries involved in the work we're doing, the festivals we're developing. They interchange with each other from Norway to Australia, England, India, Ireland, British Columbia, and more. Somebody will remind me of what I've missed. Yeah. So these images here just represent the work that we took up in 2020 when we found ourselves in lockdown. Citizen Fest became an online thing, linking Glasgow, Los Angeles, and Helsinki. And that took place in September of last year. And obviously things have moved on this year. No Labels, No Walls taking place now. And our next festival, we're hesitating just to commit ourselves to a date, but it may now be in 2020 rather than, 2022 rather than 2021. But lots of work going on in the background to bring that off. So. Maybe a final thing to note then, and it's an interesting part of our growth and development, is that we've decided to constitute ourselves and make We Are One a thing, an organization. Up until this point, we've just been a disparate group of individual organizations coming together kind of informally to say, yeah, we'll work together to do this and we'll raise money, and this organization will hold the bank account or hold the funds for the festival. And as time went on, we began to realize that in order to be able to attract funds for the festival and to organize ourselves better, that we should perhaps form ourselves into a company. So we're 2/3 of the way through the process of becoming a SCIO, a Scottish Charitable Incorporated Organisation. So We Are One Scotland ! Will be a SCIO. We think before the end of, surely before the end of this year. So I think
it's film time.
It's film time. Mm-hmm. Marcus, if you're able to run the film, I'll stop sharing the screen.
Yes, just a moment.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We should be counting up how many, as part of our evaluation, we need to count up how many people have got the We Are One t-shirts on today, John, I think. Let's see.
I'll need to go and get mine out of the bedroom.
Citizen Fest is a celebration of diversity, and I think in today's world there's more that connects us than divides us.
I've been thinking of it as a festival for people who don't always get to go to festivals.
People will be able to really demonstrate how to celebrate inclusion.
Yeah, but serious fun.
Serious fun.
For LEAP, we really wanted to ensure the representation, the visibility and the participation of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and intersex people.
On the day, I can imagine myself just being absolutely run off my feet. The team supporting Citizen Fest is first class. Everyone's doing it, you know, on their own time, voluntarily. So many different organisations coming together to support it. 12 different venues, in excess of 50 contributions. It's just wonderful to see that sort of contribution just from so many different walks of life.
And really sending a message out to the wider world that people can be what they want to be with the right help and support.
Thanks, Marcus, for sharing this. So that's some images there, some nice memories for us of the first event, as well as reminders of some anxious moments in putting the whole thing on. I've several propeller heads in the course of the film as well, which is nice to see. So hopefully that gives you a flavour, if you weren't there, gives you a flavour of what went on. And we're just going to finish off this first bit then with interview. He's just going to interview.
It was very interesting to see that film again, because obviously we've done another festival since then anyway, haven't we, John? We've done after that we all went into lockdown and we did another festival, and it was, if we did a film, if we had a nice film of that, it would be still a very interesting film, but it would be very different, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true, and it wouldn't be as warm or as yeah.
But it's interesting just to see what we could. I mean, there's so much learning. If you look at that, it probably just reminds me of all the learning that we can take forward into anything else. And if we looked at the film of the second one online, again, similarly, there'd be lots and lots and lots of learning. Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, it's actually quite sad looking at that one, because we wish we could go back to the kind of days and have it as well, but we all believe that it's going to happen one day.
Yeah, it will do.
Yeah, it was quite interesting there to see the people who, although we were doing it in Glasgow, there's people who were there who weren't from Glasgow who'd managed to come and travel to the festival from other places, whether that was England or Finland or other parts of Scotland. Yeah, I mean, it was recognizing people who I remembered coming from all those different places within that. I mean, one of the bands that we had, Michael, was from Leeds, for example, wasn't it? They drove up, stayed up. played on the Friday night, played on the Saturday, stayed up late.
Yeah.
And then I think they were all a bit tired when they went home. But anyway.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, that's it. Which of these pictures do you like best, Michael?
None of them.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, what we thought we were going to do now is just do a wee interview with let's not move on to that one though, John. Sorry. We're going to do we thought it might be interesting just to have a conversation with you, Michael, didn't we? And we called this very grandly an interview with Michael McEwen. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions and then see what you think of those questions and what you want to say. And the very first question I was going to ask you was how would you describe yourself and what you do? And you've done that a little bit already at the very start, but just take us through that again. How would you describe yourself and what do you do?
Okay, so I would describe myself as a kind of disability campaigner, activist, but obviously campaigner is a better word. And I'm a freelance journalist as well, and I like to help people that is kind of like going through the things that I went through like years ago in terms of like confidence in the right education and and the entitled to do things. I stay up late in a way, Keith, you would say. So I think that would describe myself, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so an activist, a campaigner, and a journalist. How did you decide on those things? Why did you decide that was what you wanted to be doing with your life?
I think for me, going back to my college days, and that wasn't yesterday or last week or maybe 2 years ago, that was a few years ago now. I didn't really have a say in what I wanted to do at college, and like the way I describe it is like I had to fight what I wanted to do. And now, like looking back, it's it doesn't matter if you've got an impairment or not. You should be entitled to do what you want to do. You might need to give that support to get there at the end of the day, but people should respect you as well. Like, as I always say, that disability doesn't define you, and I think like disability is under a label at the end of the day, that we all the same, apart from we've each got one unique gift or whatever. So I think that's why I'm so passionate and still am actually to help people and get out the hell done and have fun and have the right to work and yeah.
Okay, and just tell me a bit more about the journalist bit as well, though. Just because that's interesting about why you set out to become a journalist.
Yeah,
that wasn't what you did at college, was it, Mike? You did something else, didn't you?
No, I should really register of interest and say that I'm not a qualified journalist, but I am now. I never went to university or college or whatever. I went to college to do business admin. Well, before business admin, I was doing a supported course, but that was over two years, and I wanted to do a mainstream course and stuff. So I've always been into the media since I've been like a wee boy, and something that Keith doesn't know about me was like when I was young, I always wanted to be in a radio studio. So I pretended that I was in a radio studio in my house, and back in the day it was like tapes. So like I was presenting myself in, you're listening to Marco, and then I was playing kind of like music and stuff like that. And ever since then, I just love like the whole kind of like concept and a lot, and I love like behind the scenes, that what people don't like see on the telly or the radio or whatever. I like looking at behind the scenes as well. But I suppose like the journalism work helps me a bit because I've got a good insight into disability. And like most of the stories that I do, is like all the stories that I do relate to disability issues and try to give them a kind of voice.
But you're not only interested in disability issues, are you, Michael?
No, I don't want to be the what we'd say a one-hit wonder. I'm passionate about football and music and the arts and all mainstream stuff as well. So it's not about kind of like disability; it's about other kind of like issues as well.
You've been on the radio quite a lot this week, haven't you? Because you've been talking about the. We've been on every day this week.
No, I've not been on today, and I've not been on yesterday, so I'm a wee bit disappointed by that. No, so yeah, I've been on the radio about 4 times this week about the Paralympics, and I suppose that's a good plug to plug my kind of documentary and stuff. So I made a documentary for Radio Scotland about the Paralympics, and I interviewed like 3 para-athletes that's going from Scotland to represent Team GB at the Olympics. So it's on BBC Sounds if you want to go and listen to it. I'm not plugging that at all, but I'm just saying.
That's good. So just thinking about We Are One Citizen Fest, Michael, how did you get involved? Can you remember that?
I think it was a conversation with you, Keith. I'm not actually sure.
Not either.
I'm not actually sure either. No, I think it was like you said to me, "Do you want to come to this meeting?" And I said, "Yeah, well, yeah, okay then." So I went along and I heard of it, and I thought, and I want to get involved in it. So here I am today, and I love to. I mean, I love to help out as well, Yeah. So
It was probably that we were thinking about planning other things for Stay Up Late Scotland, wasn't it? And we thought, wow, this is a good way that Stay Up Late Scotland could be a good place that Stay Up Late Scotland could promote the ideas of the campaign and also get involved in doing those things that we both really like doing as well, getting out there, getting some music on the go, and and doing that as well. So I think it was probably that, wasn't it? But to be honest, I can't really remember properly either. I think that's right. Are there any highlights from either of the festivals that you've been involved in? Because you were involved in both the first one and the online one, and in the online one you were doing some presenting as well, weren't you, Michael?
I think for me, like if anybody puts on events here or whatever, it's like the buzz that you get from event organizing, and then when it's over, you're like, oh, is that over? Like you've only been working on it for like 5 months or something, and then there's a big massive hole in your life because that you're used to going to meetings every week and stuff. But I think that like the highlight for me, going back to the first festival, Keith, was the Friday night bit, going to egg at 1:30 and could be up again by 10:30 the next day to go into Glasgow. So it was all kind of, I like being busy anyway. I don't like sitting about doing nothing basically. So I think like for me, like just like the atmosphere was brilliant. That I met Fiona Fern and different people like at the gig and all that, and like it was just a good time. And last year it was good, but it was slightly different. Then we managed to pull out the hat. You would say like the whole team kind of like gig well and stuff. And me and you done a bit presenting as well, Keith, and me and Clive as well, and me and some girls that I can't remember. But no, it was good fun. It was a bit different. But it's not when you see that video there, you say, "Oh God, I wish that was back tomorrow." But hopefully one day.
Hopefully, very hopefully, not too soon, not too far away, rather. not too far away. So one of the things that people often say, I hear people say this, Michael, and I know you do as well. Often people say that you're a great networker, don't they?
Yeah. Even my own family says that as well. That how do you get work, and how do you know this person and that person and all that? So yeah.
Okay. So have you got any tips for us about that? What would you say about what would be your thoughts, ideas about the ways that you go about that?
Well, for me, like as here's a good example of the media, like the work that I get, and like you've got to pitch ideas to them. They'll never, well, they'll never come to you with ideas. Like you've got to go on them. And what I would say was, for me, and I always be persistent. I don't like really give up that. I don't give up that easy. If people email me back within a few weeks, especially about work, and if there's money involved, no, I'm only kidding, but if it's about work and stuff and they don't email you back, well, I've got to then, I like to kind of like chase it up. It's not because that, don't think because, Michael, God bless Michael in the paper again or on the TV. It's not about that. And you might think I'm talking rubbish, but it's not about that. It's just because I love kind of doing that stuff, that kind of birds and all that. So I think like if you've got any good ideas or whatever, and then after them you would say, well, can I hold on to your name and email address, because you never know when you're going to need that person, or you might never need them at all, but it's always good to have, and especially in the kind of disability world, what me, yourself and John kind of like works as well,
So a bit about not giving up, a bit about not worrying too much if people don't get back to you, maybe, Michael? Because like you'll have lots of people who don't get back to you as well, won't you?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm fortunate that I'm lucky enough, because at the level that I'm at in terms of my media kind of work, and I hate to go on about it a lot, but I feel as though like I'm in a good place at the moment. Like I've been working for so many years to get up to the level that I wanted to get to, and like I've been lucky enough to be on like the TV a few times as well, doing reports, and like my kind of documentary idea was good. The unfortunate bit about it was I never got to meet anyone because of COVID, but it was still a good kind of like opportunity. So that's what I mean about people saying to people, oh no, you can't do that. Well, why not? Give it a go. And there's always support out there for you, because I remember back in the day when like the job centers like me, oh no, media's not for you. And like if it was now, I would turn around and say, well, it's my life, it's not basically your life, but I suppose everybody is different, and but yeah. Sorry, I waffled. Get that answer, Keith.
No, that's okay. That's okay, because I suppose the other things I was thinking about when you were saying that was, it's not something that's happened overnight, because you've been doing it for a long time. You've been knocking on those doors and contacting people for a long time. And also you also have put yourself out there, both before the pandemic, actually put yourself out there, meeting lots of people, and during the pandemic, meeting lots of people online. Because you're involved in all sorts of different things, aren't you, as well? You're on the board of several. I know yesterday you were saying you're on the board of what was it, a small arts company somewhere?
Outspoken Arts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's just me for you, Keith. Like I like to be busy, and about like yourself and John and a few other people that we know, and our network in Scotland, that we don't know how to sit down and take 5 minutes out.
Okay, all right, thanks, Michael. Is there anything else you want to say about because we were starting this talking about creating content together, and the idea of we are one, a world where everyone matters, creating the bigger we, like how we define that. Anything else you want to say about any of those things?
I think that the most important thing was, and I think that's why we set up the We Are One Festival in Scotland. We about, you know, it doesn't matter if you've got a disability, LGBT, race, or, you know, whatever, or different religion. We are one. You know, as I say, the labels that get put on us doesn't define us. There's more to us than just what you would say a stupid label, you know, and all that. And yeah, and that festival, it kind of brought out a good atmosphere, and people was kind of like mixing and mingling, you would say. And I would like to see that more.
Okay, I'm going to just before we move on to our last slide, maybe, John, I'm just going to throw it open to anybody else if they want to ask Michael a question or make any comment.
Yeah.
You can just unmute yourself and do it, is what I would say.
I have a question for Michael.
Marcus.
You and me, we are Citizen Network TV producers, so we are also launching this year a global community media. And you are our star. You are on BBC. How can we get CNTV content on BBC?
That's a good question. I wasn't expecting that. I told you, Keith, to email people beforehand, and if there's any questions, they can. I mean, from Scotland, I mean, I can do quite a lot, and I can speak to like a few different like people and stuff. But as I say, if you want to like speak about it in another meeting, but it would be good, because you know there's different kind of the angles as well. But yeah, just to like get Citizens TV Network out there more in Scotland, and people in America will do the same, and before you know it, everybody will know about Citizens TV, and they won't be wearing We Are One t-shirts, they'll be wearing Citizens TV t-shirts. But no, I would love to help see this. Yeah. Sorry if you weren't expecting that, Marcus, but that's all the answer I can give at the moment.
Yeah. Anybody else want to ask anything?
I'd like to ask Michael, because I remember too when we were all at Citizen Fest in Glasgow and watching the film again was great. It's like you're there again, aren't you? So what's the one thing you'd do, Michael, differently the next time we're able to meet for We Are One?
I think I think this is an issue that I've had for years, and I mean, I've spoken to Keith about this as well, that when you hold an event like that, it's good, but you see that same old faces at it, and don't get me wrong, the same old faces are nice, but you need new faces in as well. And so that's what I would like to do if we have it touched next year in Scotland, to sell it to more people. But it's difficult, because if it doesn't, I'm trying not to say the word affect, but I'm going to have to, because that's the only word that I can come up with now. But if it doesn't concern you, that's what I mean about you know, LGBT. They're like, well, I'm not going because it's not for me. But you know, this fest goes for kind of like everyone. So but we can only do what we do, and you know, and stuff. But yeah, but it's the same with any kind of disability event that you go to, like when you go to kind of like you know, Incontrol events, or even public events that Incontrol's been invited to, and I've been invited to along. But And then I think, like, if you invite more people from different areas who hasn't got a disability, who hasn't got a family member with a disability, I think that way that you're going to help knock down the barriers in terms of employment as well, because employment's one of these ones where it's a big bugbear of mine. Because not to be too negative here, but I think what we'll find is after COVID, I think more people will be out of employment with a disability, and I mean it's worse than now because like I don't know if it's like down south, Nicola, but up here it's like 7% of people with learning disabilities and work, and that's just not on.
Mm-hmm. There was a good phrase you talked about yesterday. There's a good phrase you talked about yesterday, Michael, and that was when you said about getting beyond the bubble, didn't you?
Yeah.
Beyond our bubbles, rather. Yeah.
Because we're also right. So what I meant by that was just to give you. I'm an awful one for coming up with silly sayings and as well, and but bubbles. It's like, you know, everybody's in a bubble and everybody's used to working with each other. But if you burst that bubble, then you meet more people from different areas, and you can like network as well and stuff. But yeah, that's what I meant by my scenario about into your bubble.
Okay. I think we should. Marcus has reminded us we should move on to thinking about some things that we can share more, have a discussion about more widely here, really, which is that idea of creating shared action. We did do one more slide after this one, which is creating shared action for We Are One. And these are the things that these are the four things that we started talking about, aren't they, John and Michael, really?
Yeah.
When we were thinking about how we create future shared actions for We Are One and for We Are One Scotland specifically, and future Citizen Fest, we were really just talking about how we make connections, how we make those future connections that allow us to reach more people, how we start talking about how we grow and share any of the networks that each of us have, and that if we all did that then and tried to join them together and grow them, then that would be a much richer set of networks. We talked about moving outside your bubble, which is what we just said, really moving outside the familiar territory that you know to that territory maybe of those musicians that Clive knows, for example, in Public Eye. And then we also talked about that idea of the end point being that when we're talking about this, we're always talking about a focus on inclusion, equality, and a world where everyone matters, and that should be what drives any of the things that we do as part of We Are One Scotland and the Citizen Fest. That we bear that in mind when we they're the values, they're the things that underpin all of the aspects of our actions and the actions specifically of We Are One and Citizen Fest. And really what we were just throwing this little question out there really for everybody. And it was, what are the images, objects, words, and our music that comes to your mind or that you associate with these ideas? And we just wanted to really just have a bit of a conversation around that. And Marcus, I think, was sharing something in the chat with us as well just now. So let's do that and then think about anything, images, words. Sorry, I'm just trying to, Objects, that was the one, Objects, music that you associate with those ideas of making connections, growing networks, moving outside the bubble, all with a focus on inclusion, equality, in a world where everyone matters.
So can I invite everyone to unmute themselves so we can just have a conversation in the last 15 minutes or so around those things.
We could we could just go around people if we want, couldn't we, John? Make sure everybody has a chat. I mean, we don't want anybody to miss out on their chance to say anything. That's what I'm.
Yep.
Yeah. Jonathan, do you want to say anything? Would you like to say anything?
Well, I mean, there's lots of inspiring things being said. I think this is, there's so much potential. I was sorry to hear that we're taking a break from the We Are One, but it makes sense. And I think this is a time of a lot of growth, and a lot of the growth is hidden. You know, it's kind of under the surface. In terms of sort of ideas for moving forward, I think a lot of good things have been identified already, and I'm just kind of taking it in and thinking through, like, well, how would that really work for us? I know that for Fionn and I, Fionn, by the way, I've just dropped him off busking, so that's why I was a little bit late coming in. I think about in terms of connecting with our network and our communities. I realize that because we do so many different sorts of things, of course we all do, but I have to say I work. Sometimes I compartmentalize things, and I think, oh yes, I should connect with my disability communities because this is a disability thing. And I mean, I don't know why I do that, because when I see what we're doing, there's so much more than that. And in my life, my connections are in so many more categories. Like yourself, Michael, we have lots of interests, and there's lots of communities that we're part of. And so that's what I'm really thinking about, is how can we connect with those communities, and how can I get over my shyness of saying, this is for you, this is something that you'd really benefit from being part of, and that you could contribute to, and that you would gain from. So that's kind of where I'm, what I'm thinking, listening to all of this. Thanks.
I think that's really interesting, because I think we feel as though we've come out of our bubbles quite a long way. And I think we have, you know, and we've established all these relationships. But as Michael says, you still see a lot of the old faces. And it's as though we are a bit shy still. We don't quite push it as far as we could. Yeah, really important.
Yeah.
I think that was a good point that you made, Jonathan, about the, you know, and I've made this point in several meetings I've been at, and I'll try and be quick when I explain this, but like, because like we're in a world pandemic, and nobody asked for, you know, like people to die or people to take no well through COVID and all that. But the other thing as well was, like, from a works point of view, we should be rebuilding the services, and I think it's our time to focus and say, right, let's go back to the beginning, because it wasn't right for people with a disability, and you know, we should be using this word. And I'm not trying to speak government here, but build back better for people with a disability. And also the other thing I was going to say here was, we should ask people with disabilities about the services. Do not build the services and then ask disabled people, oh, what do you think of that? Because then it's too late. So it should be like the other way about. It should be scacking with myself or whoever, say, do you think that service is good, and all that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Michael. The thing I was thinking from what we were saying there was something about being as brave as we can be, right? Trying to be as brave as we can be. And the second thing I was thinking was, whatever we do, there's always unintended consequences. There's always things happen that you never expect to happen. Sometimes you think, wow, that was much better than the thing that we thought was going to happen. And whenever you do new things, you see that, don't you? It's not, you do a new thing, you get that bit, but then there's all sorts of other things that happen alongside it as well. And some of them are much more important than the thing you set out to do. don't know whether hopefully that makes sense what I'm trying to say there. It's just what it set off for me, and we probably, it's just about making the most of any of those other opportunities. Yep. Marcus, you were going to share something with us?
Yes, this is a topic that we discussed yesterday in the Building a Bigger We event. Why is it so hard to reach new people? Mm-hmm. Why is it so difficult to go and create even small actions with neighbors you don't know or people you haven't met before? Mm-hmm. We are all creating these safety bubbles and our life passes through. But if we are going forward, creating we are one kind of atmosphere, I guess that we could include the things that we learned in Toronto Summer Institute into the next We Are One and start now. Like yesterday, we decided to create small actions in our local communities and in us, so we can sort of flex the muscle and become more braver in the things that we do, because the times are challenging globally. So we need to accelerate this kind of braveness in us to collaborate and create shared actions where we include everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when we last talked about We Are One Scotland and Citizen Fest for moving on beyond doing it now or very soon, we did talk about, didn't we, John, the idea of having We Are One Presents, not doing nothing, but doing some other things whilst we're not doing a We Are One Citizen Fest, presenting Citizen Fest. We're doing some other things as maybe as one-off or smaller events. Yep. For example, the discussion around deinstitutionalization in Europe, which is going to go ahead when, in October, John? In October, I think, isn't it?
23rd, I think. 23rd October. Yep. Yeah. So absolutely. We should probably say we haven't deliberately stopped We Are One. We've just kind of got delayed in our planning for a variety of strange reasons. So just to reassure you, we've not abandoned ship or whatever. Yeah. So that's Marcus is asking, how can we better connect with the We Are collectively here? How can we better connect with the We Are One community? Yeah. I think it's it's a strange kind of courage, though, isn't it? Because what's the worst that can happen? It's people can say no or kind of ignore you, but it's not a devastating thing that can happen if you try and break out the bubble. It's more just our shyness or kind of daft embarrassment, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Marcus, did you want to ask that question again in a different way, or same question, or a slightly different question? Or
I'm thinking about how to link groups together and audiences together. Mm-hmm. How difficult is even when we have communities of thousands of people and you send emails to hundreds of people. In the end, how can we actually reach new people? Mm-hmm. This is something that we can build until the next year and create a place where people could meet. Is it a Facebook group? Is it a Twitter handle, or is it Citizen Network Slack, for example? But we need this kind of places where people that want to make things happen meet other people wanting to make things happen, and this way sort of create local action with a global dimension in it. And what could be the best way to reach out people in Scotland? I remember being there in Glasgow, and what I learned that you're very good in creating an atmosphere, and all change sort of is somehow related to that atmosphere and environment. It's kind of mental environment where you feel safe and you can celebrate. Yeah. And then I would take this kind of bubbly atmosphere to all of these Citizen Fest all around the world.
I don't think it's much so of where I know John was saying like shy as well, but like I don't so much think it's that, John. I think it's more of nobody wants to come in to our community because they haven't got a disability or whatever, because like Scotland's got this perception that if you haven't got a disability you shouldn't hang about or go to the pub with somebody without a disability, if you see what I mean. And it's about relationships as well, like my partner's not got any kind of like disability, but I mean, like people's got this perception that, well, Michael's got cerebral palsy, so is he really go out with somebody in a wheelchair? Well, no, I don't. I don't. Maybe but again, it's up to me that who I want to have like a relationship with as well. But I don't think it's so much of the how we can spread that message to the public that has not got any barriers to say, well, come in, we're not going to bite you, or we're not going to say boo, run away, kind of thing. We are one. That I think that's why we call the festival We Are One, because we don't want to be any different from the next door neighbour and stuff like that. But there's still a lot of work to be done, I would say, about that, about people. I don't know if John and Keith would like contribute to this answer, but like I think that there's still like a long way to go, and like I've been saying for years that we should be doing more disability work in schools. That's the only way that you're going to get over the hurdle of people laughing at you when you're walking down the street, with one arm and stuff like that. So it's got to come from schools, and then it works its way up. I don't know, that's just how I feel about it. But
no, I think I think you've reminded us about We Are One, why we have that name. It can seem at one level kind of cheesy. We are one, but we all have more in common than we have that separates us. We all have issues in our lives to do with some sort of disability that we don't always confess to. We all have mums and dads who are, going through the aging process, maybe developing dementia. This isn't really about them and us, but them and us allows us to protect ourselves a bit, doesn't it?
Well, I think the best example I would give is me and you, John, and Keith are big football fans, and we go to football every week, but we are not surrounded by 60,000 disabled people. There might be disabled people there, but what I'm saying is, everybody's different at that football game that you go to watch. So everybody's not the same. If that kind of I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that's I hope people can really understand that analogy. Well, I can, but hopefully you can as well. But
yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm just going to see if Saliki, have you got anything that you want to, just so that you get a chance? I'm just not wanting to miss out your chance to say anything that you'd like to say for this.
Yeah, I have quite many thoughts, but what I want to say, I have been listening through the framework of impact chain when you have been talking, and I think that there are lots of inclusion and diversity and those kind of things with connect with all other people, and all those actions I heard yesterday. From this discussion, I wrote some words like I really like that what I feel when I hear that we are one, and I think when we are one, then bigger we are, and the big vision I saw, I was listening from you, was the citizenship for all. I really like it. Or to understand disability. Or I thought from what you, Keith, said, I think you said something like that your ethos has been to get a good life. So I think here are lots of things to co-create or cooperate with each others. Markus, I think he put to the chat the map, the Google map. Yesterday, he launched that idea that we could start to find each other and continue via this Google Maps. And then there is also what I was thinking, one possibility is to apply money from EU. I was just wondering how is the situation after the Brexit. I don't know how is it possible to apply money, but from there, but I think that there, for example, the Erasmus Plus program, it seeks to promote equal opportunities and access, inclusion and fairness across all the actions. Yeah. And that's one thing I would like to talk later. Yes. If we could to apply money or somewhere else. There is lots of money, we all know, but how to find the way to apply the money. My thoughts like this.
Yes, Marcus.
Sorry, John. I would like to thank all of you participating this event. The Kukunori live concert straight from Helsinki will start soon. We can stay on this call, and everybody, all the audience wanting to join us can join the this event online. The URL is bit.ly/Action Monday, and that's the Action Monday link that you can reach every Monday. Every Monday is an Action Monday. So you're all invited to the No Labels, No Walls community, and we are one community. So in the end, we are all a Citizen Fest community, and I would like to see No Labels, No Walls content, people, audiences, themes inside We Are One Festival 2022. Thank you, everybody, and I will put the stream on, and then we can continue here. Thank you all.
Thanks. Great, thank you.